All right, welcome everyone. Today is Wednesday, the 12th of December, 2025, and this is the Cluster API office hours. We are a sub-project of Kubernetes SIGs, and as such, we follow their meeting guidelines, which can essentially be summarized as please treat everyone as you would expect to be treated, or explicitly so, please be kind to each other. And if you'd like to talk, please raise your hand and I will call on you. So at the beginning of our meetings, we like to take a little time to welcome new attendees. So I'm going to be quiet for a few seconds. And if you are new or would like to say hello to the community, please feel free to unmute yourself and say hi to everybody.
Hello, everybody. I'm Wei Chen. I'm actually not new to the meeting, but I just put my name the first time here.
Awesome. Welcome, Wei Chan. All right. I am not seeing any other unmutes or hands going up. So we will move on to our open proposal readouts. I don't imagine we have anyone here. But we'll go over it. Is anyone here to talk about the independent worker topology versions?
We are, but I don't know if the maintainers are ready yet, so we can wait.
Okay, cool. Thank you. And the external CA insert sign, would anyone like to comment on that? Okay, moving along then. We'll be getting into our discussion topic, and Fabrizio's got a nice one lined up first here. So please, Fabrizio, take it away.
Yep. So let's start by celebrating Lubomir, which is here, because he got a huge award at KubeCon. So congrats, Lubomir. Thank you, thank you, thank you for all the work in your SIG. Very, very well deserved award. I don't know. You want to say something, Lubomir?
Thank you very much. This is a bit unexpected. The award has always been a little bit arbitrary, to be honest. I'm thankful that I received it. In terms of the actual award, it's over FedEx. I received a small metal bucket, and inside the bucket is a piece of styrofoam with some plastic wrapped around it that represent wood. So a little bit of an improvised award. So yeah, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you again, Lubomir. Like Lubomir, also Takuma, which is a Civ Chari in Slack and GitHub. Got a community award for his work in Cluster API. So congrats, Takuma. And right now there is a PR which is merging that adds Kartik as a copy reviewer after all the work that he did during this release and the previous one. So yeah, congrats to all the folks in this list. Very well deserved. If that's okay, Mike, I move to the next one, which is another
please.
celebration. So 1.12 is out. We completed the release yesterday. Payload for the release is huge, as we discussed. In place updates, chained upgrades, machine health check with support for checking machine condition, first part for the taint propagation proposal, encryption algorithm in KCP KPK, which is a nice catch up with good mean, and also the rate, the reconciler rate limiting. As usual, in the book, we have a page for the provider about the migration from 1.11, 1.12. We put the usual effort to make it nice and easy for everyone to understand. I would like also to bring up two things. So please be aware that in the next cycle, we are going to remove V1 Alpha 3 and 4, which are not served by some time now. And most important, please be aware that the timeline for deprecating and removing v1 beta 1, and also the v1 beta, the support for the v1 beta 1 contract keeps running. We are on, we are working according to our timeline. So provider, you have to really start thinking about migration. And
Yeah,
it is,
oh, sorry, Fabrizio. I was just going to ask, did I get that right? V1 Alpha 3 and V1 Alpha 4 will be removed in the next cycle?
yes.
Okay, cool.
But if you want, there is in the deprecation of the release, part of the release note is documented, and it also documented. So this is the first reminder. The second reminder is that we are on track for unserving v1 beta 1, the next release. And it's also documented in the migration doc. I don't know if you want to click in the link at the end of this section. Cluster API compared to here it is. So this is the usual migration page with all the details and what is important. There are all the changes on our object. This time we have small changes, but they are documented. And what is important is down below. There are recommended change for we also have a runtime hooks change this time because we added a couple. We have change for the cluster API contract, where the most important one is that we documented the machine pool, and we recommend everyone the machine pool contract. We recommend everyone to check their compliance with the rule. And then down below we have suggested change for providers. And again, we talk about the deprecation. So and all the other stuff. Again, a warning about deprecation or removal schedule for next release. So we're doing our best to make it visible and to everyone. But it's important. So we keep moving, but moving also means that at some point we will have to pay down some technical debt. Okay, overall, great release. Really happy. Huge collaboration across company, across several company. I'm really happy about quality and payload of this release.
I think we have one hand up, Fabrizio.
Oh,
It's me. It's just as a curiosity. As you were scrolling through, I noticed a couple of things like changes to kubeadm config and/or kubeadm config template. And we were just noticing because we rolled out an upgrade last week, and when fields in those changed, it caused all of the control planes for I don't know, 20 some odd clusters to all roll their control planes at once. Is that expected?
Joe, they had an open issue for this, and they
Oh.
released a release yesterday that
Oh,
should
okay.
have resolved it. Unfortunately, we upgraded on Monday, so it was before that release, but yeah.
Okay, never mind.
Yep. Let me answer. Unexpected rollout should never happen. Unfortunately, we depend on very low-level stuff like manage field, stuff like that. And we hit on issues. We found it. We fixed it, and we have to thank Christian, if I remember well, that found the issue while testing, while porting one provider, Kappa or CapZ, to 1.11. So the issue is there since 1.11, and the fix has been ported to 1.11. So okay, we do our best, but when we really need the help from the community to find and fix corner
it's real.
case.
It's really on us for not doing a proper test first.
Yeah.
But anyway, thank you.
Okay. Can we move on? Yeah, very quick one. Also 1.11.4 and 10, and I forgot to add the 1.10.9, if I remember well, is out as well. So congratulations to, also thanks to the release team for the usual work. Okay. Question, or can I move to the next topic?
Yep, I don't see any questions or hands going up, so I'd say move along.
Okay, so we celebrated 112. It is already time to start thinking at 113. So the release team sent out a message to in Slack. I don't remember if they sent out also an email, but yeah, we are looking for people for volunteer working on the next release cycle. Release team is really important for the success of this group. It is what make happen 3 releases every year, and they really help maintainer by doing a lot of stuff. We have a great rule book for the task that can be done. It is and depending on how you work on this job, it can also be a big opportunity to learn and to dig into cluster API when we have flakes, etc., etc. So I consider this a good opportunity. It is also an opportunity for mentorship, because there are usually senior member or member from the previous release team that sort of coaches the new one. So if you are interested, take a look at documentation, ping in cluster API release channel, ask question. It's not a huge effort, and it is really important for this community to thrive.
All right, does anybody have questions about joining the release team or any of the documentation we have there or anything? All right, I'm not seeing any hands going up, but I will add an extra +1 onto everything that the release team has done and kind of the cadence that this project has established over the years. Like, I think it's an amazing thing to see in open source. So big thank you from my end as well. Okay, I guess, do you want to go on to the call for action for 1.12 release issues?
Yes, exactly. So this time the release was not as smooth and simple as usual. So we faced basically in the last 2 weeks, we faced 3 issues that were triggered by changes in test infra, and it took a lot to fix them. So one is basically the Git version was bumped in GitHub action. This broke badly how we build the CAL in our lint pipelines. We fixed it into branch in 3 branch on main 112, 111 is not yet fixed in 110. We temporarily disabled the job in order to have some clean signal for the release, but it still has to be fixed. So we are talking about GitHub action, we are talking about makefile, we are talking about Golang CI lint. Is nothing cluster API specific. If someone can help, that's great. Otherwise, this will delay when maintainers can finally start looking at the next release stuff. Similarly, we had another issue or two issues that were caused by the Docker version being bumped in the Kubekins image that we use in Brow. The first one was super fun. It introduced basically an incompatibility between Docker pool, which is now pulling one layer, only the layers for the current architecture, and CTR load, which is a container D runtime, container D utility that we use to load images into end-to-end framework, CapD kind, all the stuff. Okay, and this util now keep waiting for all the layers for all the architecture. So we are basically pulling. Docker pool was not getting everything necessary, and loading to kind failed. We fixed it using Crane on all the branches. I wanted to brought it up because it maybe someone will face the same problem. Lubomir?
We found the same problem in Kinder. It's basically, from what I understand, this is actually a bug. And what we did is we switched the Docker config during end-to-end test on runtime. We switched the Docker config to use the overlay 2 storage driver, and we disabled the container D snapshotter. And that fixed the problem. Now Docker pool pulls all the images. Then you can save to a turbo, and you can import it with CTR, and there's no bug. According to
Can you point me to some PR so I take a look?
Yeah. According to Dims, it was a bug, and he linked me to Moby and Containerd tickets. I will post in Zoom chat.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, I followed the discussion up to a certain point because then I had really to unblock the release. I saw that it looks like they consider a Containerd bug and they want to fix it. But yeah, I'm watching some issue, but I have to also to read them properly. Okay, so this was the first one problem caused by the bump of the Docker version. The second problem was that in some tests we are using very old CapD release in order to test, that upgrade works well, that we don't know surprise rollout, etc., etc. And those very old release now do not work anymore because they have a Go library which is compatible. They have a Docker Go client library which is now incompatible with the new Docker version that we run in CI. I don't know. I don't know how to fix it. We can try to recompile old version of CapD, or we can move these two jobs to different Kubekins images. Yeah, this could be an idea. Lubomir, do you know if we can run proud jobs with older Kubekins images? I think so.
Yeah. Yes, according to the job spec, you can specify the image. It's not advisable, but you can also have the possibility to install a different Go on the runtime, which should be really fast, 100 megabyte download, right? So
The problem is not the Go runtime. The problem is the the incompatibility between the Docker library version, which is embedded in the capd image, and the Docker version, which is installed in the container image. So, yeah, but maybe I will reach out to you and brainstorm a little bit how to fix this. Again, is not. We are basically fighting with the test setup. There's nothing super specific to copy. Everyone should have the skill to do this, and if someone will help, it will be really appreciated because this will allow us to move from to the new release, new topic, new proposal, open up the branch for the development, etc., etc.
Just a question, is it possible to, so this Go library for Docker, you're saying that there's no sufficiently new version that is compatible with the Docker on the host?
No, there are new. So we are using, when we start those tests, basically what they do, they use cluster API 0.3 to start to create the first version of the management cluster. And then we go through upgrade till the current release. And we check that everything still works. Okay. But when we try to create the cluster with the old version, the cluster use capv, and the cluster try to talk with the underlying Docker engine, which is too new for those libraries.
See.
So yeah, either we recompile capd or we run these two jobs in a separate prow image.
Is it possible to have multiple flavors of capd that are compatible with old and new Dockers?
Yeah, it is possible. Everything is possible. The problem that we are talking about capd 0.3 and 0.4. So they are well past end of life. And if I would prefer to not fix capd, but to fix the test setup.
It's, in that case, I think it's probably better to just use pin older kubekins for that particular job, like a historical.
Yeah, we have to split them from the current job, because currently we only have one end-to-end test that run, except the upgrade jobs, we have a one end-to-end test. So we have to look into how to break it out into end-to-end test. And for one, we have to use the latest.
For the upgrade job, isn't it going to fail if it jumps from older version to the new one? Isn't it going to break if you use a single new kubekins for everything?
I don't think, because the job worked till 2 weeks ago, before they bumped Docker. So I think that we can use it. And also there is a note that basically this job makes sense until they make sense only for older release or for older branch, not for main, because on main we're going to remove V1 Alpha 3 and V1 Alpha 4, and so we can drop those tests finally.
Yeah,
so we need to have something which is that give us a signal for 1.10, 1.11, and 1.12 until they are supported. On main, we can forget the problem, basically.
I see. So this requires some breakdown of the jobs to to split them. I see.
But yeah, I have to look into it, because all those issues happened in the last 3 weeks, in the last 2 weeks. And it was, what we tried was to unblock and to get to a point where we had a decent signal for allowing the release to go on. And
But they
And
also
I,
bumped containerd to from 1.7 to 2.1. I think that also, but that's on the Kupkin's host. I guess that's a different story. For the CapD test, we don't care about that, I guess. But just wanted to mention that they not only broke stuff with the Docker bump, but they also broke stuff with the containerd stuff.
yep. Okay, yeah, and this is an example just to and thank you, Lubomir, for the contribution. And this is an example of the toil that it will be great if folks in the release team or from community helps. Otherwise, it all fell on maintainers, and this slow down everything else. Mike, I don't know. Just to, if you want, I can give you a measure of these. So if you go on cluster API site, and let's make this really concrete. And you go on pull request. No, sorry, in GitHub. You can and you go to pull request and you sort. You look at closed. You click the below filter. There is a okay closed, and basically, if you go back in the last 2 weeks, so but just scrolling this page, there are 2 weeks of pages where we do stuff, temporarily disable cub, skip test, etc., etc. Then we have to fix it, backport in one branch, etc., etc. It is 2 weeks that we are going to it. Go back. So this 2 days ago, this last week, all this job up to unblock stuff. Still last week. So you have to go. We are talking about 50 PRs in the last two weeks, basically, to get this fixed. Most of them is babysitting PR, but yeah, this is toil, basically.
Yeah, I mean, I see all these like different release versions that are being bumped and everything, and adding all the runtime clients and whatnot.
Yeah, we had to bump a Go, and I thank you, Matt, for helping to fix some CVE, which is usual. Let me say business as usual, but in the last 2 weeks we had to deal with a lot, basically.
All right. Does anybody have any other questions or comments about any of the 1.12, kind of tech debt that's come up? Okay, I'm not seeing any hands going up. Did you have anything else you wanted to say on that, Fabrizio?
No, I'm good.
Okay, all right. Thank you for thank you for sharing all that. It's a lot to take in, but I think it's good to hear it all. I added this topic for context. The folks here, this is something that we had talked about a couple weeks ago here. It's been ongoing for quite a while. We've got a feature group that's looking into node bootstrapping. And earlier this week, at the SIG cluster lifecycle meeting, we had a discussion about node bootstrapping. And really, when I say this, we're talking about how can we make it easier or better for users, to be able to select between Cloud Init or Ignition or whatever, and how can we make this process better, but also really understanding the challenges and difficulties for making it better. And as part of that conversation, Fabrizio, you were talking at one point about kind of the complications that we have with the current way that kind of the kubeadm provider is, communicates with, some like the KCP and some of the other ones. And I just wanted to understand that a little better. And I realize this could be asynchronous. We don't need to come up with all these links now, but I wanted to see if maybe there were some pointers in the code where I could start to look at some of those things. And I see someone has raised their hand, but I can't see who it is. Whoever's raised your hand, please go ahead.
Hi, you mentioned the discussion thread. Could you share that thread with me? I want to participate in that thread because I've been doing some cloud init and ignition addition to CAPI, and I'm very interested in bringing the ignition to the Bootstrapper in CAPI.
Okay, well, so the first thing I would recommend is we have a feature group for node bootstrapping, and I think the next meeting of this will be next Thursday. Yeah, so it'll be the third Thursday. So the first thing, and I'll put this link in the chat or in the agenda so you can see it. This is the first place I would go. Come to the working group that we have going on this, because that's where most of the communication is going to happen. The meeting that we had at the SIG cluster lifecycle yesterday was kind of an impromptu thing that we scheduled to further the discussion that we had here last time. So I would say the first thing is definitely connect with Tilo and LHA and the rest of the feature group for this.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Okay, so Fabrizio, back. And like I said, we don't need to necessarily go through this right now. Maybe asynchronously, I could sync up with you. But I was
Yeah,
just
I
curious,
think
yeah, where to start looking, I guess.
so. I think that the key point is we write what we're talking about is we want to reuse the code from CapVK and KCP. We want to reuse 95% or even more of this code, okay, and swap out the API types and replace a small 5%, which is what renders the secret, or in with using Initium dialect or using Kubernetes Cloud Init dialect. Okay, so that's the problem. So, but if you look at a controller, let's start at any controller in cluster PI or controller runtime. The API type itself is sort of a pivotal element. You reconcile the API type, you pass the API type down all the chain. You need to read the fields, add fields, update fields. And this, let me say, not a cluster API decision. It is, let me say, the way that controller runtime drives you to provide to develop code. If you look at I don't know, the Kubernetes provider, it has the same problem. The Kubernetes types is perfectly in the code base. And so this is the first problem that we have to solve. We need to find a way to have a controller that works to reuse controller code across different controller with different API types. That's I don't know if generic can help. We discussed a little bit this yesterday. Generics at the end leads you to use interface, but interface is not super nice considering that we are talking about types with a huge number of fields or a considerable number of fields. So yeah, we have to, the idea is we have to figure it out what's possible. And that's one. And that's, let me say, one problem, which is a foundational problem. And then there is, let me say, a few other, is that if you look at KCP, for instance, at the code base of KCP, is complex, and it is not ideal. We are slowly cleaning up and trying to reduce complexity, but it has interfaces to make it testable, etc., etc. So there are a lot of sub packages. The code of KCP, the simple amount of code of KCP is considerable. Unfortunately, why I think that also KCP is part of the work is that because KCP embeds kubeadmin types and Cloud Init as well. So if you want to use your booster provider and use kubeadmin to provide to get a control plane, then you also need a control plane provider. So yeah, let me say there is those. I think the first problem probably is not really specific of KCP or KBK. You can apply to every controller basically. Instead, the second problem is, yeah, we have a lot of code, and I don't know if you want to switch to GitHub and look at KCP. You will get an idea of the complexity that we are talking about.
Now help me out a little bit. Where does the KCP control
Cluster API, control plane, control plane.
Internal controllers?
Yeah. It's just a simple amount of files.
Right. Yeah. Just looking at this for one controller, that's a lot.
Yeah, that's a lot. Exactly.
Okay, this is good though, because like I would really like to understand this problem at a deeper layer, at the layer that you're kind of talking about it from. And I think if I can understand this complexity, I think it'll help me out a lot. So this is really useful. I appreciate this. I appreciate this quick overview.
Just to give another data point, this it will be, I think the API will be swapped out, but the code will remain almost the same for KCP.
Right.
Okay. If you look at kubeadmin, so you go cluster API, bootstrap kubeadmin.
Are you talking about like the controller code for it, or?
Yeah, basically you go back one layer. Go. Sorry, yeah. Can you go back to the folder, up to one folder? Okay, as you can see, we have Cloud Init and Initial. So everything will be the same, except that you will use only one of these two folders. Now we have a sort of, we use format and we call one or the other, but and to be honest, to these two folders they're just Go templates to render stuff in the format that Cloud Init expect or Initial expect. So they are not rocket science, these two packages.
Okay. All right, this is definitely helpful. I like I said, at this point, I just want to understand it better. So I really appreciate you kind of like going into these, and sharing this. Does anybody else have questions or kind of comments about this? Okay, not seeing any hands going up, so let us move on. And thank you again, Fabrizio. I appreciate that. So we'll go to provider updates. We've got an update from the add-on provider. So please, Matt, take it away.
Yeah, not any big whoop, but just trying to keep Cluster API add-on provider for Helm up to date. And so that's the most recent release. Don't try using 0.5.1 or 0.5.0 because we had some small bugs that I had to work out. But this one works, and it's only going to work with V1 Beta 2 or later is the idea. Thanks. Yeah.
All right, thanks, Matt. Well, that is the end of our regular agenda here. If nobody has any ad hoc topics to bring up, then I guess we will call this a meeting and take back about 15 minutes of our hour here.
Two quick ones. First,
Yeah.
Mike, if you need more detail about Bootstrap KCP, feel free to reach out. Second, release is not 12.0 is out, but we are testing Kubernetes 35RC0, and we want to, because we are planning end of next week, we've come out with 12.1 with official support for Kubernetes 135.
Awesome. Thank you, Fabrizio. All right. Well, that is the end of our meeting. Thanks everyone for coming out. And yeah, we'll see you all next time.
See ya.
Later.